What is going on, guys? Corrosive Bullet here. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope you guys are enjoying the holiday festivities. I hope you guys are getting to spend time with your friends and family and just kind of decompress and relax on this holiday evening. As for this video, what better way to celebrate the holiday than to warm ourselves up by going over some Fusion World hot takes. So today we're going to be talking about hot takes that I wanted to kind of reach out to the community first and foremost and just kind of get a gauge of where people kind of lie and in certain discussions and groupings and stuff. Kind of see how people are thinking of the game overall and kind of like see if what the opinions that some people have are hot takes or not, and kind of just go from there. This is meant to be a fun video, something a little different, kind of another way for me to kind of give my opinion on certain discussions and certain topics. So I put out a poll on the YouTube channel here, and I reached out onto the community subreddit to kind of see where people kind of stand in terms of their thought process on things. So let's just kind of jump into it. We're gonna start here we'll start off with my hot take, and it may or may not be a hot take necessarily, but I have seen some mixed reception. So obviously there is some level of debate that could happen with my hot take. But my hot take is that adding Jaguar Island as a special trait into yellow feels extremely premature. Considering that the leader and support that we are getting for yellow next set is also Janemba in another world. So while the Bio Broly stuff does seem to synergize well with Janemba's effect, the Jaguar Island trait itself only serves to kind of dilute the existing card pool for yellow, and I don't necessarily see a place where like this Lord Jaguar card, for example, is going to see a lot of play. Mainly due to the fact that, again, as I mentioned in a previous video, I don't remember if there's like minions that they fight in the Bio Broly movie. I don't remember if there's much of an oppositional threat outside of Bio Broly in that movie. It's been so long since I've watched it, and I've kind of erased it from memory, to be honest. But yeah, like in terms of like being a searcher for Jaguar Island cards, and it's a 3 or less, like I don't see how there's going to be a whole lot of support for this archetype going into set 5. That's not going to hurt Janemba in some capacity. So we'll kind of have to wait and see when the actual like card list comes out. I don't know, we'll see, but that's my hot take. You guys can let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, but let's first jump over to YouTube, talk to you guys first, because you guys reached out first, and we will discuss what we got here. So Will J290 here says, I feel they're introducing Jaguar Island cards for the set, after which is pretty dumb, as yellow has been waiting the longest for a 25k leader. So I don't 100% know where they're going with this first part. However, I think he does have a point here. I think it's crazy that we are a full year into Fusion World, and we had 5 sets of cards with a bunch of starter decks, and we still don't have a yellow 25k leader. I think it's a little ridiculous. You could also make the argument that black also doesn't have a 25k leader, but there's 2 different caveats with that. One is that black was only introduced last set in set 3. And 2, we have a pseudo 25k leader in Bardock, but the problem is that Bardock only becomes a 25k leader on attack, and he's gotten no support in set 4. So in terms of a 25k leader for black, we're kind of missing one for black too, but yellow desperately needed one for the longest time, and I think it's a little crazy that we've yet to get a 25k leader. I think what could have been really, really cool with Janemba was that maybe, I don't know if that would be unbroken, but to make it kind of thematic, like Janemba is kind of a bigger guy. He's a bulkier dude. He was able to take more hits. Would have been interesting if they made him like a 16k leader, 17k leader on the front side, just to make it so like, oh, you have to put a little bit extra into the leader. But I guess that'd be a little broken or a little harder to get around in the early game. So All right. So Downer Island put 2 here. We'll break down one and then the other. The first one is 95% of Fusion World community are just bandwagon meta players. Set 1 is nothing but Broly. Set 2 is nothing but Top Q. Set 3 was nothing but androids, Vegeta. Set 4 was nothing but Baby Super Boo. What makes it worse is they'll wait for someone else to either make a YouTube deck list or win a tourney, and then they all just steal that person's deck list. So I don't think this is necessarily a hot take, or I see this as more of a grievance with just the way that the meta kind of works. And unfortunately, like I'm kind of all over the place on this one. First and foremost, I think this is every like TCG community, kind of like what B. Kearney says down here. Every other card game that I've ever like been involved with has always been like, oh well, I'll like the people. I think a lot of times players, especially those that are just getting into the game, don't necessarily understand or know how to construct a deck, and so they look towards other like mediums to try and get a semblance of where or how to build a deck around. At least like they look at towards someone else's deck list and they build that to kind of give them like a working knowledge of the deck and build that deck. I don't think it's usually like I don't think it's like intended to be like malicious or have like ill intent behind it. I think for the majority of players, I think it's a matter of just, oh, how do I construct this deck to make it work? And then like as they kind of better understand the deck, they then branch out. But I feel like this happens in every card game. I think part of it is just that a part of it involves like the internet. Like back when like Yu-Gi-Oh and the Pokemon TCG came out, we didn't really have like internet forums to the extent that we do now. We didn't really have like social media or YouTube with people making deck lists, deck profiles, and deck list breakdowns to kind of show us like how to build these decks. Like we used to have to just build them the way that we wanted to build them, and kind of just hope that it worked in the grand scheme of things. I'm sure there's probably like magazines and stuff that maybe had like a breakdown and whatnot too back in the day, but ever since the internet, this has been more and more commonplace. So I don't necessarily think that this is necessarily a hot take. I think this is just widely accepted and known. Now that said, I mean, I do believe that like when I do my deck profiles, like I don't care if you guys use my deck profiles as a means to construct a deck and play the deck. I'm perfectly fine with that personally. I don't have any grievances with people that do that. But I do always encourage people to always kind of broaden their deck building tech. Kind of spend time like actually like trying to craft something that's theirs and uniquely theirs. And then the third thing too with this is that the fact that we only have 5 sets. Like there's a decent sized card pool now, but like it's still like relatively limiting compared to like Dragon Ball Super Card Game Masters or One Piece or Digimon that's had like a bunch of like sets and cards, right? Yu-Gi-Oh is like one of the longest running ones. So I think like as the card pool expands and things get bigger within Fusion World, I'm sure that deck profiles will be a lot more diverse, but we're still technically in the infancy of this game. So I think it is important that we at least acknowledge that and kind of utilize that when it comes to like looking at the statement. But no, I mean I wouldn't say it's a hot take, but I would say that yeah, like that's just my thoughts on this particular topic. And then he also comes back and says for set 5, a Super Saiyan Goku awakening to a Super Saiyan Goku is stupid. I agree with this. I think it's a little I don't know where like Bandai is coming from when it comes to like building some of these cards. I want to think, because I mean the Gogeta is the exact same way. The Black Gogeta for set 5 is the exact same way. I think it's a little restrictive for them to do that. I don't know if Toei or Shueisha like came to Bandai and they were like, hey, like you can't use the Super Saiyan 2 from the Tamagami number 3 fight in Daima just yet. Like we can't allow that. I don't know if like there's some restrictions that the Bandai card game team had when it came to designing that card. So I don't want to necessarily say that it's 100% their fault, because we don't have all the answers and we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But that being said, like, I feel like it is relatively lazy. And if there's one big gripe that I have with like the digital client in particular, it's the fact that there are cards like Bardock. Like Bardock is Bardock awakening into Bardock. There's like the Daima Goku and Daima Vegeta, like they are in their base forms and then they awaken into their base forms. Like it feels extremely lazy, and I would like to see more animation be brought into those leaders, into the digital client, because otherwise it kind of just looks bland, right? Like maybe it's just me, but no, I think it's also dumb. I think it should at least be Super Saiyan 1 to Super Saiyan 2 as well. Isaiah Shadow says, too many Goku leaders. I agree. I agree with this to an extent too. I'm hoping that with the green Goku that's coming in set 5, that'll be the last Goku that we see for a little bit at least. Like at least give it a set. Like set 6 comes around, like we get no Gokus in set 6. Like I'd be perfectly fine with that. I think now that we have a Goku in every single color, I don't think there's any reason we need to keep dropping Goku characters. Let's give other characters some representation. Phil, that's my boy. Phil says, green is the most unfun color to play against. I think I don't like 100% agree with this. I don't 100% agree with this. I think playing I will say androids for me is the most unfun green deck to play against. But like I don't have an issue playing against Cell. I don't have an issue playing against green Vegeta. I don't have an issue playing against Broly or Gohan. If anything, I kind of welcome those matchups because it's such a nice change of pace from what the meta is kind of doing. If I had to pick what the most unfun color to play against right now would probably be, I think it would probably be red. And that's mainly just due to the fact of the secret rare. And I think red having the secret rare is fine. I think a lot of people are obviously against the secret rare. But there's a couple reasons why I think it's unfun with red. It's more of so the fact that when I'm going up against a red player, I now know what the expectation is and I know what's coming, right? It's the fact that I go into red and there's a formulaic way that deck is going to be played, and I know that in most cases that at 6 energy the secret rare is going to get dropped, and to me that's not fun. If I know what's coming that turn, or if I know what's coming in that matchup, that takes all of the fun out of the game for me. Now that's not to say that I would want the secret rare banned or anything like that. I think the secret rare is fine. When you have the secret rare in play, or if you were to remove the secret rare, then you have the 6 cost Vegito, which is just as annoying to deal with, in a lot of cases. There's it's not like this is the first 6 drop that's been annoying to deal with. Like the 6 cost Frieza from set 2 is also annoying to deal with too. But yeah, I believe you guys get what I'm kind of saying. So yeah, I don't necessarily fully agree with this particular comment. I will say androids is not fun for me to play against. I don't like playing or I don't like playing androids specifically. But I think red's probably the most unfun color at the current moment, and that's just due to the fact of how formulaic it is to play against it. All right, so let's jump over to the subreddit real quick and kind of go over some other hot takes that people have been kind of saying here. So, Wormhole Voyager says, recycling the literal same card from your drop and playing it over and over again is poor game design and extremely boring. I don't know if I'd say that this is necessarily a hot take. But I will say that I'm assuming that this is in reference to Pilaf. The Pilaf is 100% poor game design. It was, and to be fair, I feel like there is a way with set 1. I feel like there is a way to balance out a game right out the gate, when it's brand new and it's just releasing. Fusion World didn't quite do that with set 1. So there's a lot of cards from set 1 that were just unbalanced and made things unbalanced right out the gate. Green was a powerhouse in set 1. Broly was like one of the hardest cards to like get around during set 1. And like Pilaf at the time, Pilaf was not like broken like he is now. Like the fact that you can pick him up now and over again and build up so much combo potential and power and recursion now definitely makes Pilaf seem more broken than he's ever been. But back in set 1, it wasn't all that strong. And I think looking at it now, I don't want to say it's necessarily poor game design because it was just undertuned compared to other things going on when it came out. But now that we have cards like the Black Hercule that picks up anything but himself from drop, like now that there's like a semblance of balance with other cards in the game, now you can look at Pilaf and be like, that's poor game design. So no, I agree with this. I agree with what he's saying here. Spring Roll says, for this game to reach another level, Pilaf has to be banned or limited to 1. Again, it's not really a hot take. But that being said, I don't think banning or limiting Pilaf is taking the game to another level. I don't think Pilaf is doing that much to the point where it's completely like putting blue on like a different map. I think Pilaf does need to be limited. I wouldn't say Pilaf needs to be banned. I would say Pilaf does need to be limited to some extent. But I don't believe that like Pilaf is like a major problem within the meta right now. I think if anything, like it just needs to be limited within itself for the sake of balancing blue more than anything else. Not that it's really hurting or affecting other colors, but that it's really hurting and affecting blue because blue can't really diversify its playstyle because of Pilaf. So, but yeah. Quiet Redditor ATX says, locking cards behind leaders makes the game unfun. New sets come out and you should expect no new cards for your old preferred leader. I can agree. I can agree with this to an extent. Yeah, it's like one of the key examples, and I mention it in this comment thread with him. What I think is one of the weirdest things that they do is like the fact that we're only within the first year of Fusion World and we have cards that are completely leader locked, I think is extremely unnecessary. Like I look at like set 2 Go Tanks, the 3 cost that can play out a 4 cost in rest mode. The fact that card specifically is locked to Vegeta specifically, but every other Gotenks card that we've been getting, including set 5, like we're getting a new Gotenks card in set 5. Like I think it's really weird that one Gotenks card is leader locked to Vegeta and every other Gotenks card isn't. So in this regard, I do think that Quiet Redditor is like right. I do think that he's right in the sense that like, yeah, like leader locking shouldn't be a thing this early on in the game. Now, obviously, when it came to like Top Coup, it's like what I'm not even gonna pronounce this guy's name. I don't want to flub it up. It's like even as he says here, like they still make mistakes with Top Coup. Top Coup had a lot of like generic cards that just worked in Top Coup regardless, and there was no like card specifically in that format that like leader locked to Top Coup, and that's also a problem as well. So I think what they're both saying here is fair. I think in some cases, depending on how strong something is, you do need to have some leader locking potential. But at the same time, I think leader locking does kind of limit gameplay unnecessarily, especially in the infancy of a game. Then you have like new sets come out and you shouldn't expect no new cards for your old preferred leader. I think this is also true as well. I think having an expectation that like the deck of your choice is always going to get support is not something that people should be looking forward towards. I think that sets people. I think that sets. That brings down people's I think people need to bring down their expectations and just realize that like, yeah, at some point this deck could fall off and it may not necessarily get the support that I would like it to have for me to be able to keep playing. That's just the way that these card games work. There's always going to be power creep. There's always going to be bigger and better decks as a game kind of evolves. And I think, yeah, it's just a fair statement to make there. And then further in this conversation, let's see. Bibino says, I like balance. Set 1 and 2 had mostly the same deck for each color, changing the leader only because every card was universal. Topku, Beerus, Red, all one deck. Broly, Gohan, same deck. All blue decks except Goku Black, same deck. That's even less fun for me. I'd rather face diversity. Yeah, I think diversity is a good thing for Fusion World. I think the more diversity that's in the game and the differentiation of playstyles for certain colors makes for a more enjoyable game. It means that when you know you're going up against one leader versus another, you have to play differently, right? I think like that's one of the big reasons why I like where Green's going currently. Like Green is getting this new Goku that needs to be at 7 or less energy in order for his ability to proc. So you know that the deck's not going to be built around 8-cost Broly. And I think that's a good step away from what Green was already kind of doing with sets 1 through 3. So, and I think that makes the game feel fresh. And I'm glad that they're doing stuff like that. Same with like the 3-cost Vegeta in Green. A lower end deck that has a lot of like wide playability or like a wider play style, while still having like the strong cards that Green is kind of known for, I think is really good. I think stuff like that does kind of make the game feel fresh and exciting. So, Berserker here says that Bandai should fix set 3 Gohan. This is the Gohan. This is the set 3 Gohan that came out. He bottom decks the 2/3 costs, but fixing it so that it does what it actually says. So I think so it's I think what his big thing issue was the fact that like the person that plays the Gohan is the one that's supposed to be playing, is supposed to be the one that chooses the order in which the 2 cards that get bottom decked are, because it's supposed to be a random order, I guess. Yeah, because it's supposed to be a random order. So it says this can pick. Let me look into this real quick. Hold on one sec. Yeah, so the Gohan card is you choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 3 or less and place them at the bottom of their owner's deck. And the way that the client kind of does it, it's a little weird. Because if you look at the card description, it does kind of come off like you, the person playing this card, has the choice of... I guess it kind of seems... It comes off like you have a choice of what goes to the bottom. But I think if you look at like the card text specifically, I think it's you're choosing 2 cards to go to the bottom of your deck, but it's not saying in a random order. It's not saying order of your choice or anything like that at the end of the card. Whereas if you look at like Sinister Sickle, it says place them at the bottom of their owner's deck in any order, which basically says that like you pick the order, right? But the card itself doesn't really say that you pick the order. It just says that you place it at the bottom of their deck. So I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he's 100% correct on this. I think it works the way that it's supposed to. You're choosing 2 cards. You're choosing 2 cards for your opponent to send to the bottom of the deck. But you yourself aren't choosing where they go at the bottom of the deck. That is for your opponent to choose. Whereas with Sickle, it gives you a choice right? So I think he's a little incorrect here. That is a hot take though, I guess. I guess you could say that that's a hot take. So secret rare cards should be fancy, unique, or gimmick cards, not mandatory 3 or 4 copies in the deck, because they're so better than any other option. This is especially bad in the digital client. So this is how it was when before set 3 came out and the secret rare Goku was just that good to the point where you needed 4 copies, right? I would say that I would say that for certain decks, the new secret rares aren't full playsets of. Like, I think the Vegito secret rare is like only a full playset of in Gohan. I think that the secret rare is a full playset of in UI Goku. But I think for other red decks and other blue decks, I don't think those secret rares are required to be mandatory 3 or 4 of. Now, and it is, and to be fair, the part about the digital client, he is 100% correct on, because just the way that the crafting system and stuff works in the game, and just the rates at which pulling a secret rare is, like, yeah, it's a little hard to get playsets of. So I agree with that. That being said, though, the one thing that I hated about playing in Masters was the fact that in Masters, secret rares were a one of. You could only have one secret rare in their deck at any point. They had like the ultimate keyword, which basically meant you could only have one secret rare in the deck. I personally think that hurts a game more than it helps a game, because the secret rare in Masters is usually like your de facto, like, it's the card that you go to when you want to win a game. Like, it is the card that you play when you're trying to go for game. In most cases, not every case, but in most cases. So because they are, and we also have to take into account the fact that the secret rares in Masters are harder to get than they are in Fusion World. Fusion World, you're guaranteed a secret rare in most boxes. Because of how the distribution rate is. In Masters, you are not guaranteed a secret rare in Masters, unless that's changed recently. That could have changed recently since the last time I played. But so, in Masters, this makes these cards highly sought after, and so therefore, secret rares could cost anywhere between $100 or $200 just to incorporate into a deck. And I think that hurts a game more than it helps the game. So, at the very least, like, yeah, like these secret rares, it sucks that you have to get them at a 3 cost or a 3 of or a 4 of in order to, facilitate your deck. But in a lot of cases, these cards are relatively cheap. Like, you can specifically look at the Vegito secret rare from set 4 here, and he's only $13. This is the lowest I've seen a secret rare in these games. In past sets, the secret rares would sit at around the standard art secret rares would sit around like $25-$30 a piece, and I feel like that's just a lot more accessible for players. Like, even the secret rare Goku, who's like really strong this format, is $21, which is relatively cheap compared to other cards, right? I'm just trying to get another. We're trying to get another grasp here just to kind of see if I can find another secret rare that would stand out. Nothing's really popping up here. So, like, yeah, like the Goku here is like probably the most expensive because of how viable he is, but he's still $33. Like, that's still relatively cheap compared to Masters. Like, for Masters, some of these cards are like reprints, and some of these cards are like extra foil and extra in like altering arts and stuff. But like this secret rare Bursting Rage is going for $67 almost. Like this Gogeta here, I think is this the God Rare or is this the standard art? I think this is the standard art. This is going for $200. Like, are you like, I know that like this cell card's going for just about 80. Is this a God Rare? I don't know if this is a God. That's not a God Rare. That's a standard secret rare. This is going for $300. So, like, I understand that getting a playset for these cards, like, is, like, annoying, especially on the digital client. And I agree, things should be different. And we should be allowed to, like, craft secret rares and stuff at an easier rate. But you honestly can't. I don't see how anyone could look at the prices of what secret rares go for in Fusion World and compare it to this and think that Masters is better, right? I don't see how that's possible, personally. And then we're gonna wrap things up. This went on a little longer than I expected it to, but it's a longer formatted video, so I guess if you guys are still listening, thank you guys for listening and hanging out with us, and I hope you are enjoying your Christmas. But let's get into Death Geist. Death Jice? I don't know how to pronounce that. Too much Goku. We already touched upon this. I agree. There is too much Goku. This game is just One Piece, but worse. I don't know how One Piece plays. So I can't make that comparison. I'm not going to give a... I enjoy the game for what it is. But I can't make a comparison here. So I'll just not comment. Free combo from hand is the worst part of the game. I don't agree with that just because Masters does it. And as far as I'm aware, I mean, unless this guy says the exact same thing about Masters, because Masters also has free combo from hand too. So I don't necessarily agree with that take. But if he's at least uniform in this opinion, then I guess that's valid, right? Like if free combo in Fusion World is the worst part of the game, but he also thinks it's the worst part of Masters too, then you know what, good on him for being consistent, you know. And then all characters being able to attack the turn they're played robs the game of depth. That's an interesting take. This is a hot take. Okay, I don't know if I agree with that though, because the whole idea of Fusion World and like Masters is that it's supposed to be thematic to like Dragon Ball, right? So like if you're just playing a card and not really, if you're playing a card and you're like not able to swing with it the turn you play it, like that doesn't feel like Dragon Ball to me. I don't know. I don't know exactly what he expects and what he's looking for from the game. I mean, there's cards that you play that you don't attack with, like there's blockers you can play. That has some depth to it, and that changes up the way that these cards get played, right? I'm assuming that maybe he's looking for like cards that are like good that you maybe don't want to, that maybe you play but you can't swing for the first turn. Like maybe he wants some like cards that have like that semblance of restriction. Maybe some clarification would probably be better here. I don't want to necessarily like write this guy's opinions off just off the face of what this message is, because I think it needs to be elaborated on before I can have like a solid opinion. Like what is your expectation of the game, and how would you want the game to be played if we're not doing this, right? If we're not doing this, what would be the alternative? That kind of thing. So I don't know. It's definitely a hot take though. Definitely a hot take. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for all of the support over the past year. We are almost at 300 subscribers at the time of recording this video. I do genuinely appreciate all the love and support that you guys have given me at the channel. It greatly does mean a lot to me. Going into the new year, I do hope that we can expand, like we can do more videos like this and just kind of have more of a discussion as a community, and kind of like maybe even air out some grievances here and there, you know, have a conversation. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the love and support as always. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday, whatever celebration you guys are celebrating during this time of year. And I will see you guys all, if not by the new year or before the new year, in the new year. So have a good one, guys. Take care and have a happy holidays.